Hi everyone, welcome back to the best recapped movie. Waktu Maghrib is one of the horror movies of 2023 produced in Indonesia. It is an exciting story about the capture of some children by a devil interested in them, and when the weather gets dark, he does whatever he wants, and after 30 years, the events are repeated. The devil comes to the village again. Spoilers ahead. Two boys named Rajat and Karta are playing in a village in Indonesia, and their friend Wati asks them to go home early because it's getting late and dark. They do not accept it, and Wati is forced to return home alone. Her path is through the forest, and in the middle of the way, a terrifying and otherworldly voice asks her to play with him. At the same time, while they are playing, Rajat drops their stick into a pit under a rock in the forest. Karta finds it and dips his hand into the pit to pick up the stick, and on the other hand, Wati falls on the ground and asks for help while being stretched on it. Rajat goes to help her when he hears her voice, and Karta's hand is taken by a spirit in the pit, and despite his efforts, he cannot save himself until his finger is cut off by that spirit. 30 years later, in the village, two boys named Saman and Adi arrive late to school as usual because of helping in the farm work. Their teacher, Mrs. Woro, is polite and strict, so she yells at them why they are late to school, and their classmate Ayu sees them and laughs. Even though Woro accepts them, she informs them that she will punish them at the end of today's class. This happens, and after all the students go home at the end of school, they are punished, and Ayu brings her homework to Mrs. Woro's show. She praises her for her persistence but notices that she answered some questions incomprehensible. Ayu explains the lack of color in the answers because her pen ran out of ink. She gives her pen to Ayu and asks her to study hard, and when she is about to leave the class, she tells Saman that her father was looking for him this morning. It turns out that Saman has to deliver honey bottles for sale to Marto, Ayu's father, who forgot it due to waking up late in the morning. He warns him that if his laziness repeats again, he must report it to his older brother, Samian. Then Ayu comes out of the house to help her father, sees them, and explains to them that the teacher wants them to be orderly. At the same time, an entertainment tour crosses the street and announces that tomorrow they will perform in the nearby village, which makes them happy, and on the way home, they decide to participate in this event. Suddenly, Adi shows Saman the famous stone with ghosts, but he seems to have disappeared, and a ghost is seen behind him. Saman, who was hiding, comes out, and it is clear that he intended to scare him. Ayu goes to her uncle in the forest, who lives in a hut and has come to feed him, but he refuses and asks her to return home early because it is almost night and getting dark. Saman has an old and disabled mother, and when he tries to feed her, the door of the house opens strangely, and a little later, his brother Samian returns home. He sees the bottles of honey that he didn't deliver. Still, Saman explained that he would do it tomorrow and promised to deliver them to Marto. But his brother gets angry, beats him, says that he is working hard to meet their expenses, and warns him that if he does not deliver the honey bottles by tomorrow before his return, he will severely punish him. After he leaves, he feels a spirit behind him, but as soon as he looks at him, he disappears. Tomorrow morning, he and Adi will be late to school again, and Mrs. Woro punishes them for their late arrival and forces them to clean. Despite Saman's repeated pleas, she does not allow him to deliver the honey. After school, they prepare to attend the nearby village's entertainment event. At the same time, the mosque calls for prayer, and Saman tells his friend Adi that they cannot pray today. A driver takes them and they move towards the village, and on the way, Saman realizes that he left the honey bottles on the road. After that, Adi explains that their teacher's strictness and temper are bad because she has never married and is an old virgin, and they wish she wasn't there. Saman also wishes for her death, and at the same time, Mrs. Woro returns home, and the door mysteriously opens several times in a row, scaring her. The car also breaks down on the road and loses control, and Saman sees that ghost on the side of the road, and on the other hand, Mrs. Woro is horribly killed by a ghost in her home. A motorcycle crosses the road and informs the driver of her death, and this news scares Saman. They return to the village and see the villagers moving her body, and village manager asks them to return home as soon as possible. Adi thinks this is strange, and it might be because of what they said about her in the car, and then Ayu's uncle is mysteriously seen there. After this incident, Saman had a scary dream about his teacher. In his dream, everyone gathered over her dead body. When they put her body in the ambulance, she came back to life terribly, and Saman also woke up in distress at the same moment. After that, Adi comes to him and informs him that their new teacher is coming soon, and he hears that she is very young and beautiful. Of course, after a short pause, he can't help but think that he is still thinking about what they said that night about Mrs. Woro in the car and wishing her to die, then leaving him with a goodbye. At night, the window of their house opens strangely, and his disabled mother also understands this. It doesn't take long before he sees the scary spirit of his teacher and gets scared. He thinks that he is hallucinating, and that's why he splashes water on his face. Still, suddenly, an evil spirit emerges from the water container, and after closing the door, it conquers him. Marto asks his daughter to go with him to welcome the new teacher, and the village manager introduces the new village teacher, Ningxi, to some of the villagers. At the same time, Ayu's uncle suspiciously looks on. After being introduced by her father, Ningxi approaches Ayu, and they get to know each other. To her surprise, when Adi goes to school late the next morning, Ningxi lets him go to class without punishing him, which surprises Ayu. After working on the farm, Samian returns to the village and goes to Marto's shop to receive the money for the honey. Still, he says that he did not receive the honey from Saman, which makes him very angry. He goes home in anger and immediately punishes him. Then suddenly, he sees the evil spirit supporting him, and he horribly kills Samian. Saman, possessed by an evil spirit, takes a knife in disbelief, cuts his brother to pieces in front of their mother, and smiles. It seems that Ayu's uncle also suspiciously hangs a charm necklace on the door of Marto's house. When Ayu and her father opened the door early in the morning, they saw Saman banging his head against the wall. When they call him, he gives them bottles full of blood and runs away laughing. The village manager also notices that his chickens are slaughtered terribly, which scares him. Ayu goes to school, and when she goes to the classroom, she sees the scary ghost of her teacher in the yard and thinks it's a fantasy. Still, when her pen falls on the floor in the classroom, she sees the ghost of her former teacher again, who calls Saman's name in a terrible whisper, and she scares her very much. When she returns home, she sees the village manager and the village police in front of their house, talking to her father about today's events. They suspect Saman and go to him, and Ayu and Adi also follow them. When they reach their house, they find that Samian was killed so badly that the stench of his corpse bothers them. Ayu and Adi see that horrible scene, and she asks the village police to follow her. On the other hand, Adi walks ahead and finds Saman standing in the lake. Saman returns possessed and smiling but suddenly regains consciousness and passes out while Ayu and the police are also there. They arrest Saman, and they will hand him over to the higher authorities of the law because he does not explain the recent events and only whispers unclear things. However, Ningxi asks the village manager to give her a chance to try her luck to talk him out. When she comes out of the room, she says that it is useless and he has not confessed anything, and Ayu's uncle continues looking away at them. A little later, Saman sees the scary spirit of his brother and teacher and gets possessed. The village manager and others find him hanging and are shocked. His friends are very sad about this incident during his funeral, and it seems that after this incident, Adi is not the same person he used to be. He is saddened for his close friend. After that, when the class is over, the teacher asks him to talk about his sorrows with her so that he can calm down and relieve his sadness. Near evening, when all the students have gone home, Ningxi tells the school janitor not to worry about Adi because she will accompany him when he returns home and says he wants to pray at school. After he leaves, Ningxi informs Adi that she is going home to pray and will return soon. Still, a little later, when Adi was praying, he heard scary and strange whispers behind him, leaving the place in fear. When he comes out, he sees a scary ghost of Saman while he cleaning, and after the light starts flashing, the ghost pulls him towards him in a horrible way and conquers him. Sometime later, when he returns home, his father Kazan notices that he is banging his head against the wall. But as soon as he approaches Adi, he returns to a normal state, then informs him that it is time for prayer. He leaves the room and sees the charm necklace hanging on the house door but ignores it. The next day, when school ends, Ayu looks at Adi and sees that he is staring strangely and does not answer her, so she decides to go back alone, but as soon as she leaves the class, the same pen falls on the floor again. Ayu is afraid to pick it up because she knows that she might see her again, and as soon as she picks it up, her former teacher grabs her hand with a horrified face and calls Adi this time. She is scared at first and returns to class with a little pause, but Adi is not there. She decides to enter the forest on a bicycle to find him, but her uncle stops her. It turns out that Adi is trying to attract a boy by seducing him, and a little later, no matter how much his mother looks for him, she can't find him. The villagers spend the whole night looking for them, but they find them. Tomorrow morning in class, Ningxi asks the students to go home quickly after class and pray for their friends to be found, but Ayu strangely stares at the teacher as if she hates her. After class, she puts a charm in her hand, but Ningxi drops it, which annoys her, and Ayu says she brought it to protect her. She also suspiciously asks her who she got the amulet from, and when Ayu doesn't reveal it, Ningxi appreciates her and leaves. After these incidents, the situation in the village became such that people went home quickly as the Maghrib call to prayer approached. Still, Ayu tells her father that she plans to go to the mosque to pray for her friends to be found despite her father's efforts to stop her. She is riding a bicycle towards the forest. On the other hand, the village manager is going to beat the drum to announce the call to prayer, but no sound comes out, and he sees blood spilling from the drum on the ground. So he examines it and sees that the hidden corpse inside the drum is Bandon, the same boy Adi had stolen from his mother. He immediately informs Ustads, the religious man of the village, about this. Ayu also sees Adi slaughtering the chickens in the middle of the road in the village and asks him what happened. Still, he, possessed, suddenly attacks her. Ayu screams and asks for help and runs away to their house with the help of the village manager's wife. When she realizes that she has to close the house's other door, Adi attacks them. As soon as he is about to kill Ayu, the village police arrive, hit him on the head, and knock him unconscious. On the other hand, Marto checks around his house and finds Saman's horrible body there and is horrified. Ustads tries to save his possessed body from that evil spirit and calms down Adi a little by saying religious words to him. After this, it becomes clear that Bandon was not killed and was only unconscious because he told the village police that Adi had forced him to pull out Saman's body from the grave, then they left him in front of Marto's house. The village manager believes that they should find the origin of these events. Kazan shows him the amulet hung in front of the door, and Marto also informs them that such an amulet was installed in front of his house before. It turns out that Ayu's uncle is Karta, and the villagers blame him for these events, so they foolishly go to his house in the forest. After they forcefully drag him out of his house, he tells them that they are all bewitched, and then people fall on him and beat him severely, but in the end, Marto and the village manager prevent him from continuing his punishment. The next day, under her father's treatment, Ayu explains to him that she is sure these incidents are not because of Karta, and after a little talk, he leaves her. Then Ningxi comes to visit her, and while she looks a little worried, her father says he has to tidy up the shop and leaves her alone with Ningxi. She talks about Karta, and Ayu fearfully picks up the amulet under her bed, remembering when he gave it to her to attain Ningxi's essence. Karta had warned her that he was interested in children and should be more careful, however, he assures her that he will do his best to get her out of the village. In the present, Ningxi asks her how much he revealed her because she remembers him so well. Ayu takes the amulet in front of her and pulls her back a little, but she is not afraid of these things and keeps harassing Ayu with her words. Finally, she reveals herself, and it becomes clear that the person who caused all these bad events in the village is Ningxi, the evil spirit. She asks her not to interfere and tells her it will be your turn, and then she leaves her. While imprisoned, Karta also remembers his past, the moments when his finger was cut off, and the people found his friend Rajat, who was killed by that evil spirit. The village policeman responsible for guarding him goes to the bathroom, and Ayu uses this opportunity to warn her uncle that Adi is in danger. She asks him to fight the evil spirit in the village because she knows he is the only one who can save Adi. After that, Karta agrees, and after anesthetize the guard, he asks Ayu to save Adi and goes to the teacher himself. Kazan, Adi's father, asks him to attend the prayer and he accepts it by shaking his head. Ayu rushes to knock on their door and asks Kazan that they should save Adi as soon as possible, but as soon as they go to his room, they see that he is not there. Karta goes to Ningxi, sees her combing her hair, then she tries to cause him distress by changing her face to Wadi. It turns out that 30 years ago, when she was possessed by an evil spirit, Wadi agreed to join him and shook hands with him, and now he is threatening him with death by looking like Wadi. After this, Karta realizes that he has to destroy the famous stone in the forest, and that's why he goes to the forest, but when lighting a match, Rajat's spirit scares him and stops him. At the same time, Ayu searches the forest after Adi while he inside the lake and plans to join him by shaking hands with the evil spirit. Focusing on his goal, Karta is not fooled by the spirit of Rajat and sets fire to the devil's base, that is, the big stone, and then begins to call out the call to prayer. With the destruction of the stone, the evil spirit loses its power to completely conquer Adi and moves away from him. Ayu and Kazan also enter the water to hug him, and he seems to be saved. At the film's end, it can be seen that the evil spirit has not entirely disappeared because the same thing that happened to Wadi is now happening to a boy, and the film ends. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to our channel.